Welcome. My name is Tammy Silvers, and I am one of the SLDS trainers for the Georgia Department of Education. Today's session will be Lexiles. I hope that you have logged into your student information system. If you haven't, please do so now. If you do not have access to a student information system at this moment, you can open a browser and type in goo.gl/OF4C, capital T, capital V. You will be taken directly to a teacher's dashboard. I hope all of you are familiar with SLDS. If not, I suggest you stop this recording and watch the SLDS overview recording before proceeding with this one. Later in this presentation, you will be asked to complete an electronic sign-in. This relates to those of you watching the recorded version as well. This will be your ticket out the door. We will use that contact information to send you a certificate of attendance. You can share that certificate with your administration in case you need proof of attending. Now, I'm going to switch over to our training site so that you can see a teacher dashboard, which is what you will be looking at as well. So for the purpose of today's demonstration and training, I am using a 7th grade language arts teacher. You should be looking at your SLDS dashboard as well. And the first thing I'd like for you to do is to click on one of your sections. This is going to be over in your schedule box. So I'll give you just a moment, and if you will click on one of your sections. When you do this, a roster of your students in that particular section will populate. And this report, this roster, is going to look like many of our SLDS reports. Now over on the far left-hand side, you're going to see your student names. They're listed in alphabetical order, and the student names are hyperlinked. So what I'd like for you to do is to click on one of your student names. Now when you click on a student name, it is going to take you to that student's profile. A student profile is like their digital CUME folder. I'd like you, once the student profile populates, to scroll down, and the area I'm directing you to will be the student Lexile. Now, the student Lexile is a report, score that's generated from the state assessment. It comes from the language arts portion of the state assessment. So you're going to have Lexiles available to you once your students have started taking the milestone state assessments. So this will be applicable for 4th grade students and above because we will start with their 3rd grade milestone. So if you're teaching a student that is 4th grade or above, or a 3rd grade repeater student, then you're going to have access to their Lexile score. And on their student profile page, you're going to see this stretch Lexile. That's the chart that you're seeing in front of you. Now that blue band that runs through that chart is the stretch. This is to give you a reference when you're looking at the students' Lexile scores. The bottom of that blue band is the 25th percentile. The top of that blue band is the 75th percentile. The red stars that you see in that stretch Lexile chart will be your students' Lexile scores. Now let's take just a moment and look at what we're seeing. We do see the stretch. That's going to be our blue band. We see our students' red stars. Now your students' scores could be below the band, they could be in the band, or as in this example, the stars could be above the band. So what is this telling you? Well, this gives you an idea of your students' Lexile score. And when you want to judge growth with Lexile, you're looking at the distance between the blue band and your student's score. When we see an increase in the distance between the blue band and the score on the top side of the chart, we're seeing growth in the student's Lexile. Now this is giving us information on the individual student. And when you're working with the student individually, this can be very beneficial. It gives you an idea of the student's progress, where they started and where they are now. But we may want to look at our Lexile information on a different level. So I'd like for you to scroll back up to the top of your dashboard, and I'd like you to click on the quick links that says Teacher Dashboard. Once your page does load, your teacher dashboard, I'd like you to scroll down below your schedule, below your attendance tracker, and there you're going to see, under statewide test results, a Lexile band. It's going to be right here in the center of your teacher dashboard under Classroom Lexile. Now, if you only teach one grade level, you'll have one grade level Lexile band. If you have students of multiple grade levels in your class, on your roster, then you would have multiple grade level Lexile bands. Now, when you look at the Lexile band, it's color-coded. Red would be Lexiles below grade level. Green would represent Lexiles at grade level. Gold would represent Lexiles above grade level. So at a glance, you have a pretty good idea of your students' achievement level with regard to Lexile. Now, when you click on one of these data areas, it's going to present a report showing you the students within that Lexile range. So I'd like for you to click on your students that are in the red. These are going to be your students with Lexiles below grade level. Now, should you happen to not have students with Lexiles below grade level, then move on up to the green. That would be students that are at grade level. Now, when you click on that red data point, or if you didn't have red, if you clicked on your green, it's going to present a report of your students that have Lexiles within that data range. I clicked on the red. These are my students that had Lexiles below grade level. When I look at the report, as with all of our reports, I'm going to have student name to the far left. I'm going to have student demographics. Over to the far right, this is where I'm going to have the student's Lexile score. Now, the default on the Lexile report is to present Lexiles within that data range. And again, these are my students with Lexiles below grade level. The default is to present these Lexiles from lowest. And if I scroll down, it's a very long list, I have Lexile at the highest end of this Lexile range. So again, these are my students that have Lexiles below grade level, but they are presented in order of lowest Lexile to highest Lexile below grade level. This gives me the ability to look at my students, their Lexile achievement, and if I needed to or wanted to start grouping students for targeted remediation, for targeted support, for scaffolding, I could start working with students in similar Lexile ranges. I also have the ability, when I'm looking at this report, to resort this data in a manner that works best for me. So I can do that by clicking on the little arrows at the top of each of the demographic columns. So for example, if I wanted to put all of my ELL students together, I could click on the arrow where it says ELL. These are my English language learners. And when I do that, it's going to push that demographic all the way to the bottom of the report. So now those students are grouped together. If I want them at the top of the report, then I can click on the arrow again. And when the page refreshes, now all of my ELL students, my English language learners, are grouped at the top of the report, and then the rest of the students are listed below that. So I can do this with any one column or demographic category. I could also choose to put the students in alphabetical order. Now, the benefit of working with the Lexile report is it does give you the ability to work with students in a particular grouping. So you can, I've shown you now how to look at your students' individual Lexile scores so you can see their trend data, and I've shown you how to look at your students within a group, within a particular achievement area. And this is all great. You've got the data now. What's your next step? Let's scroll up to the top and again click on Teacher Dashboard. Once your teacher dashboard loads, scroll back down to your Lexile area. You may or may not have noticed that over to the right of your Lexile scores, there's a hyperlink. This was also on the student profile page. That hyperlink right over here says additional information about Lexiles. So this might be your next step. You have an idea of your students' Lexile levels. Now you want to find some resources for them. So if you would, click on this link that says additional information about Lexiles. When you do, it's going to open up a new tab. It's going to bring you to a page on the DOE website that provides information about the Lexile framework. Now you can peruse this at your leisure, but I do want to point out some areas to you that you're going to find very useful. When I scroll down just a little bit on the page, there's a link right here in the center, and it gives me the option of looking at Lexile maps. So if you click on one of the Lexile maps, and these are the printable sizes, just so you know, 11 by 17 is going to print on legal paper. The 8.5 by 11 is going to print on standard paper. So if you click on this link where it says Georgia Lexile map, it's going to open up a PDF that's printable. It's going to give you, again, on the first page, some general information about Lexiles. But then the reason that a lot of teachers are liking this document and they're printing it out is because it provides a quick reference of the various Lexile ranges, and within each range it gives some sample titles, some fiction and some nonfiction sample titles of works within those Lexile ranges. So it provides a nice quick link as a reference. All right, that's one option. If you're clicking along with me, you'll notice that when you opened up this PDF, it did open up a new tab. So I'd like you to come back over to the tab at the top of your page that says Lexile Framework for Reading. And when you get back to your Lexile page, let's scroll down a little bit further because I want to show you this chart. A lot of the teachers like this chart. This is something else that you could print out if you wanted to, but it's going to show you what those CCRPI scaled Lexile bands are, the grade level bands. So when we were looking at those scores on the earlier page, my student has a Lexile of 450. What does that equate to? Well, if I look at the chart, I can see that a Lexile score of 450 is going to be at a second grade level. So this gives me a quick reference. At the end of the page, it says continue reading. You could click on this link, or up at the top of the page, it's also going to give you an option that says parent resources. This second page also explains Lexile, but it's a parent-friendly type of language that helps a parent understand what is it that I'm looking at when I'm looking at a Lexile score. What does this mean for my student educationally? Now, at the top of the page, there's also another option for you. There's a link that says Lexile Find a Book. And I'm sorry, I may have clicked on that a little bit too fast for you. This Lexile Find a Book site. Click on that link for me. When you click on the Lexile Find a Book site, this is bringing you to a page that's going to give you some options. Now, one of the things that is explained on the first page that we were on is that when you're looking for suitable material for a student, you want to find material that is within a certain range. So this Lexile Find a Book site is going to provide that information for you. So if you have a student that has a Lexile of 450, you could type in that student's Lexile and click Submit. Now, when you do, it is automatically going to set that range for you, and then it's going to take you to the next step. Your next step, you can find books within a specific topic area. So the Lexile Find a Book site is not just for teachers of ELA. It's going to give you a variety of options. So you could look at fiction, you could not look at nonfiction, you can look for science text. So within a specific Lexile range, you can choose a topic, So I'm going to choose Adventure. And then I'm going to click Submit. It's going to give me a list of options or books that are in the Adventure category and within that Lexile range. Now, it's going to present the books from lowest, the 100 points below, up to highest. So I can choose the level of the text that I want to work with for my student. When you see the list of text, if you click on a title, it's going to give you a summary of that book. So you'll have a rough idea of what the book is about. Where possible, it's giving you a cover picture of the book. This is nice. Down here, it's giving you some suggested vocabulary words at that Lexile level. Now scroll down a little bit further, because for many of the books on the Lexile Find a Book site, you're not only going to have suggested vocabulary words, but you can come down here and you can type in your student's Lexile score, click Go, and in addition to these general vocabulary words, it will give you additional vocabulary words tailored for your student's Lexile level. Now, I've shown you how to get to this. I want to give you a little bit of time to go back and look at your student's Lexile scores, choose a student, and explore what you could find for your student at a specific Lexile level. So I'm going to stop the recording for right now, give you just a few minutes to peruse the Lexile Find a Book site and look at it with a reference to your students' Lexile scores. I'm going to go back over to the SLDS dashboard, and I'm going to walk through one more time the steps that I took to get to the Find a Book site and review the information that we talked about. So when you're looking at your SLDS dashboard, you can access your group student Lexiles through the Classroom Lexile band. And when you're looking at the band, it's showing you your students that have Lexiles below grade level in the red, your students that have Lexiles at grade level in the green, your students that have Lexiles above grade level, those would be in the gold. If you click on any of these data points, it presents a roster or report of students within that Lexile range. If you are on your teacher dashboard, or if you're in the student profile, next to the Lexile report, there is a link that says additional information about Lexiles. That takes us to the web page that gives us not only information about where the Lexiles come from, but it also gives us access to the Lexile Find a Book site, which gives us the ability to search for resources at specific Lexile ranges. Now, I also want to point out that when you're looking for resources for your students, don't forget about TRL, Teacher Resource Link, because inside TRL, you can also find resources aligned to specific grade levels. You can also find resources aligned to Lexile. We do have some resources aligned to Lexile. All of this is designed to help you serve your student and provide them information at the level that they need to be, and also at levels that will challenge them. Now, I did mention to you earlier that I was going to take you to our help and training to sign in. This is going to be your ticket out the door. So I'm going to switch my screen over again, and if you would please type in this URL, goo.gl/6A8ASL. Now it is case sensitive, so if you're looking at your screen, again, make sure you type in goo.gl, all lowercase, /6, capital A, 8, capital A, SL. This is going to be your ticket out the door. If you'll fill in this information, and please make sure when you type in your information that your email address is correct so that we can get your certificate of attendance to the correct address. The certificate of attendance that we'll be sending you can be shared with your administration if you need proof of attending. If you're having difficulty with the URL at any time, please feel free to email me directly and I can send you the complete URL. Now near the bottom of the screen, you're going to see my email address as well as the email address for SLDS. If you have questions regarding this specific webinar, please feel free to contact me. If you have more generic questions, please contact the SLDS email address. I want to thank you for participating with me. I hope you found the session beneficial. If you cannot attend a face-to-face training with our other training modules, please participate in some of our other webinar training sessions.